Fantasy Premier League is back. Well, the game actually went live on Thursday, but they caught me a little off guard since I'd already scheduled a few videos, so I'm not 100% sure when this video will go up, hopefully either Saturday or Sunday. Last year, I made a little HITC7's mini league, which ended up not being that little, with 2,000 or 3,000 of you joining in the end. I'm sure it'll be even bigger and better this year, and if you'd like to join and expose how little I know about football by beating me, the code to enter is EFFIO1, and that is in the video description if you'd find it easier to copy and paste it from there. The winner of the league, I'm delighted to announce, gets absolutely nothing. Well, that's not strictly true. They will get a shout out on the channel, and I sometimes give monthly or quarterly updates. Anyhow, this is actually the first time I've ever done a specific fantasy football video, and if it does well, I may well do a big 2019-20 Fantasy Premier League season preview once most of the summer transfer business has been done, if that's something you'd like to see from me. By the way, I know it says must have in the title, and there are 20 Premier League teams and you can only have 15 players on fantasy football, so you quite literally can't have all the players in this video in your team, and it'd probably be too expensive even if you could, but I'm sorry to say, it gets more views this way than if I'd entitled it, say, a reasonable suggestion for your fantasy football team from each of the 20 Premier League teams. You have my apologies anyway. Just so we're clear, I'm not simply picking the player from each team who I think will get the most points. That would be far too obvious, filled with forwards and attacking players, and not particularly interesting. Whilst we have gone with the obvious outstanding candidate for some teams, we've tried to look a little deeper into aspects like price, early fixtures, and differentials. Here are my views on one decent suggestion for your fantasy football team from each of the 20 Premier League teams. Arsenal. Alexander Lacazette. Going in alphabetical order, we start with Arsenal, and this was actually one of the more difficult decisions in this list. Joint Golden Boot winner Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang was obviously the Gunners and indeed one of the league's highest scorers last season, but there are rumours abound that he could leave the Emirates this summer. Personally, I'd hold off on any Arsenal assets until we see what they do in the transfer market, but if I had to make an early call, it'd be Alexander Lacazette. The Frenchman grew and grew last season, and especially if Aubameyang does leave before the start of the season, Lacazette could represent great value at £9.5 million. Aston Villa. Jack Grealish. Aston Villa's best assets all look to be in midfield, and I was rather hoping one of Jack Grealish or John McGinn might have come in a little cheaper. Grealish is priced at £6 million, whilst McGinn will knock you back £5.5 million. Both have goals, assists, and indeed bonus points in their locker, as could summer signing Jota, also priced at £6 million, who is the most attacking of the trio. Personally, I'd wait and see who Villa's centre forward will be next season, since that will have a huge impact on their attacking play and midfield point scoring, before rushing into any Villa acquisitions. Grealish is my top pick at this point though, simply because he got better and better last season under Dean Smith, he's the club's talisman, a nailed-on starter, and he has that bit of magic in his boots that could make him a bit more fixture-proof than the others. Bournemouth. Callum Wilson. I had David Brooks and Callum Wilson in my team for large parts of last season, but I missed the boat on Ryan Fraser and never quite got back in on that one. Bournemouth are a nightmare for fantasy players in the sense that they are wildly unpredictable, but an absolute dream in the sense that they do score a lot of goals. They have some tasty looking early fixtures, and Callum Wilson should be among the goals. He doesn't come cheap at £8 million, but for the first 6 or 7 game weeks at least, he could score points galore. Brighton. Lewis Dunk. At the time of recording, new Brighton signing Leandro Trossard hasn't been added to the game, and it'll be interesting to see what price tag will be put on his head when he is. Trossard is a talent who chipped in with plenty of goals and assists at Genk, and at £15 million, one would expect him to start. He's also rather selfish, which isn't necessarily ideal in a teammate, but it's brilliant for fantasy managers. Since promotion, Brighton defenders have tended to be their most attractive assets due to Chris Hughton's style of play. New boss Graham Potter is likely to play a much more attacking and adventurous style of play, which could disrupt that, but our choice, for now simply due to his low price of £4.5 million, has to be the Seagulls' dependable centre-back, Lewis Dunk. Burnley. Charlie Taylor. Dwight McNeil was the one to keep an eye on at Burnley, but at £6 million he doesn't represent as good a value as many managers probably hoped. Burnley are another team where defenders have tended to provide the best options, and we've another £4.5 million one as our pick for the Clarets. Left-back Charlie Taylor should be a nailed-on starter at Turf Moor once again next season, and we think he's a bargain rotation option of £4.5 million. Chelsea. Callum Hudson-Odoi. Chelsea's post-Hazard attacking options do look a little bit bleak, especially since Christian Pulisic is yet to be added to the game at the time of recording. One suspects Pulisic will come in somewhere around the £8 million mark, which will actually make him the Blues' most expensive player. Olivier Giroud could be a brilliant differential at £7 million, depending on what Chelsea do this summer, but we had to go with Callum Hudson-Odoi. Hazard's departure could pave the way for a huge Sancho-esque breakout campaign for the former Bayern target, and if so, he'd be a snip at just £6 million. He's injured right now though, so don't go signing him before you know when he'll be available. Crystal Palace. Andros Townsend. Aaron Wan-Bissaka and Wilfried Zaha are both still listed as Crystal Palace players on the game, but with Wan-Bissaka already on his way and Zaha possibly to follow, there's likely to be some hefty transfer activity at Selhurst Park this summer. The Eagles' best fancy option may well not yet have signed for the club then, but right now, we'll go with Andros Townsend. The England international may well have to step up should Zaha leave the club. He loves a shot, which is music to the ears of fancy managers, and he's shown before that he's capable of putting together impressive purple patches of form. Everton. Gylfi Sigurdsson. I'm a little bit gutted at Gylfi Sigurdsson's hefty price tag for next season, but I can't say I'm too surprised. Marco Silva has almost always built his team around excellent number 10s who have tended to thrive, and last season we saw that with Sigurdsson. He scored 13 goals and made 5 assists from midfield last season, and with Everton likely to improve next season, those assist numbers should rise. Luca Digne is another favourite of fancy managers, but he too is expensive at £6 million. Sigurdsson is £8 million, which isn't cheap, but you could certainly do a lot worse than getting him in your team. Leicester City. James Maddison. James Maddison and Jamie Vardy are the obvious candidates when it comes to Leicester City, and our pick is James Maddison. He made a barnstorming start to life in the Premier League last season, and he ended the campaign with 7 goals and 7 assists. The Foxes should be a fairly attacking outfit under Brendan Rodgers, and age 22, Maddison should only be getting better. A price tag of £7 million seems attractive, and if you can't afford someone like Sigurdsson, Maddison could be a great shout. Liverpool. Joe Gomez. Now, obviously all the debate regarding Liverpool and fancy football tends to be in relation to Mohamed Salah and Sadio Mane, who are priced at £12.5 and £11.5 million this season. That's all pretty straightforward stuff though, and we think the Reds' real must-haves are at the back. It would be madness not to have at least one of Alisson Robertson or Alexander-Arnold in your 11 given Liverpool's early fixtures, but we think Joe Gomez might just represent the best value. Whilst Robertson, Van Dijk and Alexander-Arnold are all priced at £7 million, Gomez is available for just £5.5 million. There's obviously the danger of rotation with Lovren and Matip, and you should only have Gomez in alongside one of Liverpool's regulars, but that is a very attractive price as far as we're concerned. Manchester City. Bernardo Silva. I'm really torn between 3 players for Man City, but I've gone with Bernardo Silva, and I'll explain why. In the against column for Bernardo, we have the fact that a fully fit Kevin De Bruyne could restrict his game time, and given the amount of club and international football he played last season, he could be rested at the start of the season. In the for column, we're talking about one of the best footballers in the world last season, and that's how good he was, being priced at just £8 million, which is less than Riyad Mahrez. Our other 2 candidates were Kevin De Bruyne, who will start virtually every game if fit and is an absolute assist machine, and Sergio Aguero, who is one of the all-time great fancy players given his goals to minute ratio. If we see a fit and hungry Benjamin Mendy, then he looks like good value at £6 million, and if we don't, Zinchenko could be a bargain at 5.5. Manchester United. Marcus Rashford. Paul Pogba's situation at Manchester United looks too fragile for us to pick him, and you're not spoilt for choice after him. United have some potential bargains lurking in there, but they have to be playing in order to score highly, and I don't think that we can confidently predict who will start in the wide areas in particular under Solskjaer next season, or not yet at least. As such, our choice would be Marcus Rashford. Solskjaer clearly rates him, he had a good run when the Norwegian came in, and even if Romelu Lukaku doesn't leave this summer, we'd expect Rashford to get regular game time. He's priced at £8.5 million. Newcastle United. Matt Ritchie. At the time of this recording, I still don't know who will be Newcastle United manager next season. That leaves selection decisions and potential transfers rather up in the air at St James's Park and makes picking a potential Magpie star a tricky business. Ayoze Perez may attract some as a £6.5 million rated midfielder, but if a new manager comes in and plays Matt Ritchie as a winger, then he presents real value. Ritchie is listed as a defender in this year's game, and although £5.5 million isn't bargain basement stuff, it's pretty cheap for a defender who gets plenty of set-piece duties and could play as a winger next season. Norwich City. Max Aarons. I'm a bit torn with Norwich, since I can't see them being formidable defensively next season, but I do like the look of Max Aarons at £4.5 million. The England youth international was excellent in his breakout campaign in the Championship last season, and he should be able to record a few assists with his quick and purposeful runs down the right flank. Emi Buendia is another option if he gets regular game time. The young Argentine is bright, inventive, and very attacking for a midfielder. He's priced at £6 million. Sheffield United. Jack O'Connell. Sheffield United probably still have a marquee signing up their sleeve this summer, but we look sooner at their defence than midfield and forward areas right now. Ender Stevens was fantastic at left back last season and is likely to score higher than Jack O'Connell, but he's also £0.5 million more expensive. The Blades will be well disciplined next season, they should have a few clean sheets in their locker, and Jack O'Connell will start every game when fit. He's a decent option at just £4.5 million. Southampton. Pierre-Emile Højbjerg. Lots of FPL managers will be eyeing up Nathan Redmond after his form under Ralph Hasenhüttl at the end of last season, but those performances are factored into his price at £6.5 million. That seems about right to us, whilst Pierre-Emile Højbjerg looks cheap at £5 million. He became a key man and got forward regularly in the second half of last season, and I'm not sure there are many better midfield options at that price point. Shane Long also seems like decent value as a substitute centre forward at £5 million. Spurs. Harry Kane. It's not rocket science, but Harry Kane looks like excellent value to me, even at £11 million. The Englishman is absolutely guaranteed fixture-proof goals when fit. He had a few knocks last season, but if Harry Kane goes the full 2019-20 campaign injury-free, he is more than capable of hitting 30-plus league goals. He'll be in my team, there's no doubt about that. Watford. Struggling. I'm sorry to say Watford haven't signed a world-class Brazilian prospect who goes by the name Struggling. I'm just not sure there's a truly outstanding individual candidate at Vicarage Road. Gerard Deulofeu is the one I went looking for, but it's unfortunate that he's been recategorised from being a midfielder to being a forward. He could still be great value at £6.5 million if he has a barnstorming season up front, but his margin of safety isn't good enough as a forward, in my book at least. If the Hornets can keep it tight at the back, they do have some good options in the £4.5 million defender department. West Ham. Issa Diop. West Ham have a whole load of midfield and forward players priced between £6 and £7 million, but it's hard to pick out who will be the gems out of them. Andrei Yarmolenko and Manuel Lanzini could be fantastic options if they show no signs of decline on return from the injuries that put them out most of last season, whilst Marko Arnautovic could still be a high point scorer if he's really up for it. I've gone for Issa Diop though, who's one of the best centre-backs outside of the top 6. He's only £4.5 million, he should play every minute, and he might even chip in with 2 or 3 headers over the course of a season. Wolves. Raul Jimenez. No player saw their value rise more than Raul Jimenez on FPL last season. The Mexican frontman won't prove to be such outstanding value at the start of this season, priced at £7.5 million, but it could have been a lot worse. Jimenez is the only £7.5 million rated forward on the game, and there are only 2 £7 million ones and 1 £8 million one. My most used Wolves player last season was Jota, but he's been recategorised as a forward this season, and now looks a little less attractive. Fullback Johnny isn't a bad shout at £5.5 million either. That's it for today's video. Thanks for watching, let us know your thoughts in the comments, and any future video ideas you'd like to see from me. Give us a like if you enjoyed the video, and as always, make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications if you enjoy our content.